So the 2024 season is finishing up, and we are going to decide on who's going to be the NBA MVP very soon. And in last week's video, we talked about every team's most disappointing player. I wanted to do the opposite for today's video. I wanted to talk about every team's best player or every team's MVP for the 2024 season. So yeah, pretty much just going to go through every team, just the guy that's been there for the team, that's shown up, and that has probably been the brightest spot for this team this season. If you agree or disagree with any of my picks, please let me know in the comments. If you guys do enjoy this style of content, feel free to drop a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And let's get into the video. So we're going to start things off with the New York Knicks, and we have to talk about Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is going to play north of 70 games for the Knicks this season and has elevated his game from his breakout 2023 season. He's up to 28 points, 3.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists a night. He's shooting 48% from the field, 40% from three, and 84% from the line. He has just been there for the Knicks this season. He even has a 61-point game, which is top 3 all-time in Knicks history this season. He was an all-star. He's most likely going to be on an all-NBA second team, and he should finish top 10 in MVP voting. Jalen Brunson is 100% the Knicks MVP this season, especially with the injuries to OG Anunoby and Julius Randle. There have not been that many bright spots for the Washington Wizards this season, and going into the year, you'd probably say that their best player is maybe Jordan Poole, it's maybe Kyle Kuzma. Well, their MVP for the 2024 season has to be Deni Avdija. Deni went into his age 23 season and has broken out a little bit. He's finally scoring north of 10 points per game. He has started all 71 games he has appeared in at the moment I'm recording this video. He's up to career highs in points per game at 14.5, assists at just under 4 a night, at rebounds as well, 7.5 rebounds a night. He's also improved his defense, and his efficiency looks great. He's shooting 51% from the field on good volume, 38% from 3 on 3 attempts a night, and looks like he's a foundational building block for this Wizards team, and he's still under a great contract as well, making under $15 million for the next 3 seasons. For the Lakers, you could kind of do co-MVPs here. You could talk about LeBron James, you could talk about Anthony Davis, but I'm going to lean a little bit more towards AD just because of the defensive impact he has provided the Lakers this season. AD's also having a phenomenal year offensively, 25 points per game, 12.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shooting 55% from the field. He was an all-star, but like I said, the reason why I chose him over LeBron is because of his defensive impact. He's averaging 2.5 blocks a night, over a steal. He's going to finish top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and he should be on an all-defensive team as well as a big man nomination. He is a force on that end of the floor, but is still a dominant offensive big man as well in the NBA. For the LA Clippers, it has to be Kawhi Leonard just because he's actually playing a full season this year. Kawhi actually may finish the season with 70 games. And a fully healthy Kawhi is still one of the best players in basketball. He's still going to put up 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 3.5 assists a night. He's still going to be one of the more efficient players with that volume as well. And he's playing 34 minutes a night. He's shooting 53% from the field, 42% from 3, and 89% from the line. And Kawhi is still an elite defender when he needs to be. He's still one of the better two-way overall players in this league. And I'm very happy that we got to see a fully healthy Kawhi, something we haven't really seen in the regular season since the 2017 year. That was 7 years ago. So shout out to Kawhi staying healthy, and in my opinion, is definitely the Clippers MVP over guys like Paul George and James Harden. Like Washington, it has not been a fun year for Pistons fans. They are going to finish at the bottom of the NBA standings most likely, but their MVP has to be Cade Cunningham. It's definitely a lost season for the Pistons as a whole, but we can't ignore what Cade has done in year 3. The jump shot looks legit, which is such a big thing for Cade in his development, as he's still just 22 years old. There were some question marks coming out of Oklahoma State. Would he develop that jumper? He was a little bit inefficient sometimes at Oklahoma State, but finished the season strong. And the three-point shot did not look there at all in his rookie year or his sophomore year. 31% from 3 in year 1, 27% from 3 last season in a short sample size. But this year, Cade on good volume, 5.5 attempts a night, shooting 36% from 3. The playmaking is as good as it's ever been, and he is the legit franchise player for this Detroit Pistons team. He is their MVP this season, and he's going to get a nice rookie extension in the 2024 offseason. This may be controversial, but I'm going to go with Jared Allen as the Cleveland Cavaliers MVP this season over Donovan Mitchell. So yes, in a vacuum, Donovan Mitchell has probably been their best player, but he's only appeared in 52 games at the moment I'm recording this video. Jared Allen has played 20 more games than Donovan Mitchell. He's been fully healthy this year, and with all the injuries to Garland, to Mitchell, to Evan Mobley, Allen has been there day in and day out, making such an impact for this team defensively. And I'm going to say that he's their MVP this season. Cavs fans, you can let me know if that's a hot take or not, but Jared Allen is averaging a career high in points. He's averaging 10.5 rebounds. And like I said, he is such a defensive presence on that end of the floor. You can't really not consider him for the Cavs MVP because of how important he has been to this team this year, anchoring that defense, which is a borderline top 5 defense in all of basketball. So yeah, I'm going to give some love to Jared Allen. You can let me know if you disagree in the comments. I mean, no brainer here for the Denver Nuggets. It's somebody that probably will end up winning his 3rd career MVP, and that is Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is so important to this Nuggets team. He's shooting 58% from the field, 34% from three, 82% from the line. Video game numbers once again, 26.5 points, 9 assists a night. 9 assists a night, 12.5 rebounds. And this Nuggets team looks horrible when he's not on the floor. They are a negative team when he is not out there. He is so important to this team on both ends of the floor. He anchors this team overall to being one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NBA. So he may be the MVP of the Denver Nuggets, but he may be the MVP in all of basketball in 2024. For the OKC Thunder, it's also another easy pick. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's probably going to finish top 3 in MVP voting. It's definitely looking like Shai is not going to win his MVP award this season, as he's lost a little bit of steam as of late, but it's still a top 5 season in all of basketball for Shai. He's been relatively healthy this year. He's leading the league in steals. He may even be on an all-defensive first team, if not second team. He was an all-star starter this year. He averaged 30 points, 6.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds on crazy efficiency as well. 54% from the field, 37% from three, 87% from the line. Like I said, with the defense, the offense, he's an elite two-way player, and he's kind of transcended into being a top 3 point guard in all of basketball. And when you talk about Steph and Luka, it's going to be a fun ranking between those 3 for the 2025 season. With the injuries to Joel Embiid, he's not really going to come in here as the 76ers MVP, so it's going to be Tyrese Maxey, the 4-year man who's kept the Sixers team's playoff hopes alive in the absence of Joel Embiid. They're fighting for that 6th spot in the East right now, and they would be probably closer to Chicago if it wasn't for Tyrese Maxey. Maxey was an all-star this year. He may win most improved. He's been relatively healthy as well. He's averaging 26 points, 6 assists, shooting 45 from the field, 37 from three, and 87 from the line. He is definitely the best player on the Sixers team, not named Joel Embiid, and has taken the step that the 76ers desperately needed him to take this season. For the Dallas Mavericks, it may be the MVP, it may be the runner-up to Nikola Jokic for MVP, but we got to talk about Luka Doncic. It's weird because it feels like Luka Doncic is having an MVP caliber season, but the wins don't really show that right now. And hey, the Mavs could end up getting that 5 seed in the Western Conference, and Luka could definitely win MVP. I mean, his numbers speak for themselves. 34 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists a night, shooting 49% from the field, 38% from three, on 10.5 attempts a night, and he's leading the league in scoring with 33.8 points. So he is the best offensive player in the league this season, in my opinion. Yes, there's a lot to be desired on the defensive end of the floor, and I think MVP should be a combination of both. You should take into account what they do defensively, and Luka definitely lacks some ability on that end of the floor, but man, he has been, in my opinion, the best offensive player in the NBA. For the Grizzlies, it's going to be Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, this team has had so many injuries this year, most notably to Ja Morant, but Triple J has also been relatively healthy. He's going to finish with around 70 games played this season, and he's still one of the league's best defenders at his position. The offensive numbers maybe didn't take that step that we kind of wanted them to when he was going to be the number 1 with no Ja Morant. The efficiency wasn't great this season, still a below average 3-point shooter, and there was signs of improvement last year, and it didn't really follow up this year, but he's still one of the best defensive players in the league, still one of the best rim protectors and overall defensive anchors that you can get, and he's still just 24 years old. This will probably go to Ja as the Grizzlies MVP in 2025, but shout out to Triple J still holding down the fort for the Grizzlies in 2024. Man, it's crazy. For the Charlotte Hornets, their MVP is going to be a rookie. It's Brandon Miller. With the injuries to LaMelo Ball not even playing half of the season, their MVP has to be Brandon Miller, who's been consistent throughout the whole year. He just had a phenomenal performance against one of the best defenses in the NBA in the Orlando Magic the other night, and he did it on phenomenal efficiency. 32 points on 85% from the field and 83% from three. Didn't miss a free throw, played good defense. Brandon Miller is here, and he's legit. And someone that's 6'9", has a great shot, a great shooting motion, and great fluidity on the court. Brandon Miller is going to be one of the best young players in the league next season, and I'm so excited to watch a fully healthy LaMelo Ball year with Brandon Miller in his second season. Okay, for the Atlanta Hawks, it's kind of weird. Like, Trae Young's only going to appear in 50 games this season. I'm not going to opt for Trae. You could talk about Jalen Johnson in most improvement season. You know what? I'm going to talk about DeJounte Murray, though. I know DeJounte Murray's defense has taken a massive step back this season, but at least he's been out there. He's going to almost play the full season, and he's been fun to watch offensively in the absence of Trae Young. Like, this Hawks team could have been a really tough watch since Trae Young went down with that injury, but DeJounte Murray has been a nice number 1 option at least, or at least a fun one that makes them the Hawks MVP in my opinion. Pretty much since Trae Young went down with his injury, Murray is averaging 25 points, 8.5 assists, and 6 rebounds over his last 25 games on good efficiency as well. He's going to finish with 63 games played this season, but Alperen Şengün, in my opinion, is the Houston Rockets MVP. He's taken that step that we saw from the first year to his second year, from last season to this season. season. He basically is Jokic light at this point. He averaged 21 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 5 assists a night. He was solid in the passing lanes. He was efficient in the post, shot 54% from the field overall. And I don't think that Şengün is a bad defender whatsoever, and I'm so excited to watch him in his age 22 year next year as his complementary pieces around him are getting better, for him to get even better as well when he's just going to be 22 years old. For the Sacramento Kings, it's going to be Domantas Sabonis over De'Aaron Fox. Sabonis has been healthy this season. He's been a monster on the boards. He's been a phenomenal offensive hub in the post, one of the best passing big men in the league. He's pretty much number 2 right after Nikola Jokic, in my opinion. The three-point shot has been consistent this season. He's shooting 60% from the field as well. He's leading the league in rebounds, and I think it was a little criminal that he wasn't an all-star this season. And I think, like Jalen Brunson, Domantas Sabonis should be a top 10 MVP vote getter when that ballot is released. Going down to South Beach here for the Miami Heat, let's talk about Bam Adebayo. Yeah, I'm going Bam over Jimmy Butler just because of the defensive presence. He's been available a little bit more. Bam was the all-star of the Miami Heat this season. It wasn't Jimmy Butler. He's going to play north of 70 games this season. He's been efficient from the field this year, shooting 52%. Like I said, though, elite defense from Bam. That's what you're going to get every single year from him. He's been one of the best defensive big men in the league over the last 5 seasons. He's probably not going to win a depoy, though, this year, which is a shame because I feel like Bam has to have at least one by this point. The Orlando Magic have definitely exceeded expectations this year, and it's looking like they're going to be a non-play-in tournament playoff team, and their MVP has to be the #1 overall pick from the 2022 draft, Paolo Banchero. Paolo's up to 22.5 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists this season, shooting 46% from the field, 35% from 3, and has been helping out one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. He was an all-star as a 21-year-old, and the sky really is the limit for Paolo Banchero and what he can accomplish in Orlando. Poor Steph Curry, man. Still having another elite season, but unfortunately, it hasn't really resulted into a ton of wins for the Warriors, but he's still the Golden State Warriors MVP by far. He's been healthy this year, which has been great. He's missed a little bit of time, but not too much. He's going to finish with around 26.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5 assists. Still the best shooter in the NBA, shooting 40% from 3 on 12 attempts a night. He's leading the league in free throw percentage. Unfortunately, though, he can't carry the Warriors into a non-play-in tournament appearance, but it's still a phenomenal year from 35-year-old Steph Curry. I think us NBA fans have to be appreciative of the 2024 season because we got a healthy Kawhi Leonard and we got a healthy Kevin Durant this year, and KD is going to come in as my MVP for the Phoenix Suns. He's going to play a little bit more games than Devin Booker, and KD is still an efficient machine god. He's actually been, I think, improving as a defender in his age 35 season. 27.5 points offensively, 5 assists a night, 6.5 rebounds, 53% from the field, 42% from 3 and 86% from the line. KD just doesn't miss and is still a top 7 player in the league in his age 35 season. I don't think he's going to play again for the end of the regular season, so we're going to talk about Scotty Barnes, though, for the Toronto Raptors. This has not been a fun season for Raptors fans. They traded away OG Anunoby, they traded away Pascal Siakam, but the improvement in the year 3 jump of Scotty Barnes has to get Raptors fans at least a little bit excited. Barnes won Rookie of the Year and exceeded expectations in his age 20 season, and then kind of was just stagnant, really didn't improve too much in his age 21 season in his sophomore year. But this year, he took some jumps. He was an all-star. He averaged a career high in points, 20 a night, assists, over 6 a night, rebounds over 8 a night, improved the defense, improved his shot blocking, which I think is an underrated part of his development this season, and looked pretty good with his efficiency as well. 48% from the field, 34% from 3, which is up from 28% last year, and is a still solid free throw shooter as well. I can't believe I'm not going to talk about Mikal Bridges for the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to talk about Cam Thomas. I just think that Mikal Bridges has been somewhat a little bit disappointing this year, hasn't really taken that step as that #1 option. Still a really good defensive player, though, but I'm going to talk about Cam Thomas a little bit. I think it's because he's exceeding expectations this year. He is going to finish as the leading scorer on this Nets team, 22 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists a night. And since he came back from injury, he's been on a tear in his last 13 games, 26.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 46% from the field, 36 from 3, and 87 from the line. Cam Thomas is a bucket, man. For the New Orleans Pelicans, we're going to talk about Zion Williamson. You could also talk about Herb Jones for his defensive ability, but for Zion being healthy, like, we got fully healthy Zion, KD, and Kawhi this season. I mean, Zion is hurt right now, but it's a finger injury. It's going to be okay. And Point Zion has been so much fun to watch this year and is improving playmaking ability, career highs in assists. He's playing 65 games right now, which is a career high as well. 23 points, 6 rebounds, still a dominant inside offensive player, and he's coming in as my Pelicans MVP for the 2024 season. Oh man, for the Portland Trailblazers, I don't really know who to go with. Anthony Simons has only appeared in 45 games. I think I may go with Jeremy Grant though, who's appeared in around 10 more games than Anthony Simons. He's most likely not playing again for the rest of the season. He's going to finish with 21 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 3 assists, shooting 45% from the field, 40% from 3, and 82% from the line. He did sign that contract extension with the Portland Trailblazers last year when he re-signed with them in free agency, and I'm sure Blazers fans want to see him get traded this offseason. He played well enough where I think he will, and I'm hoping I'm helping you guys out a little bit, Blazers fans, and giving Jeremy Grant some good propaganda so teams want to trade for him to take that contract off of your hands. I know he's been struggling a little bit as of late, but Tyrese Haliburton is still the Pacers MVP this season. You could say he's the best passer in the league right now, not named Nikola Jokic. He's going to lead the NBA in assists this season. He's going to score 20 points. The efficiency is still pretty good, and I know he's been inconsistent since coming back from the injury and pretty much in the second half of the season, but Haliburton is still a really good player in this league and is still just 24 years old. I've talked about a ton of Kobe White this year and how I think he's my most improved player, but the Bulls MVP this year is still DeMar DeRozan. He's going to finish with almost 80 games played in year number 15. He's 34 years old and is still a consistent bucket for Chicago. 23.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, shooting 47% from the field, 86% from the line, and is one of the more clutch players in the NBA this year and could win the Clutch Player of the Year award. We have another rookie joining Brandon Miller as being their team's MVP this season, and it's obviously Victor Wembanyama. I mean, Wemby has had the best rookie season in quite some time. He's up to 21 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 4 assists, shooting 46% from the field, and he's going to play north of 70 games. He's going to finish top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting as well as a rookie, and over Wemby's last 42 games, a decent sample size, he's up to 48 from the field, 34 from 3, and 81% from the line. And oh yeah, 4 blocks per game in his last 42 games. Insane stuff. Still a solid year for Lauri Markkanen and the Utah Jazz. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it as much because we saw him do this last year. And maybe he's a little bit worse than last year's season, but is still a really good player. Is still just 26 years old. He's dealt with some shoulder injuries as well this season, but he's still a really good scoring big man. 23 points, 8 rebounds, shooting 48% from the field and 40% from 3 and 90% from the line. But I do wonder if the Jazz think that Lauri Markkanen could be their best player when they're trying to contend for a championship when they're out of their rebuild. For the Boston Celtics, you could low-key go with Jaylen Brown, but I'm still going to go with Jason Tatum. He's still been their MVP this season. Heck, you could even go with Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White, but Tatum is still a really good two-way player for them. He's not going to win MVP, but he's going to finish top 10 in MVP voting. 27 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists a night, 47% from the field, 38% from 3, 83% from the line. Good defense, and it always helps when you're the best player on the best team in the league, at least in the regular season here in 24. For the Milwaukee Bucks, it is definitely Giannis Antetokounmpo, a no-brainer here. A really healthy year from Giannis and still one of the best two-way players in the NBA. He's up to 31 points, 11.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists this season, shooting 61% from the field. Still one of the better interior defenders in the league. Still a solid perimeter defender as well. He's averaging over a steal and block a night, and in my opinion, a no-brainer as the Milwaukee Bucks MVP in the 2024 season. And lastly, let's talk about Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man of the Minnesota Timberwolves. What a breakout year for Anthony Edwards into superstardom. 26 points, 5.5 rebounds, over 5 assists a night, 46% from the field, 36% from 3, 83% from the line, has improved as a defender in my opinion, and has really stepped up in big games as well. Is a human highlight reel, and I'm so excited to watch the Ant-Man be fully healthy for the 2024 playoffs, and we can see how far he can carry this Timberwolves team in the Western Conference. So yeah, that is going to be it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my picks in the comments below. Thank you again to Underdog for sponsoring today's video. Go to the link in the description. 100% deposit match up to $100. You really can't beat it. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.